evening, everyone. We have a very interesting closing keynote talk today from Michael Sahota. I'm pretty sure that most of you know him very well. Even he was inspiring all of us last year. And this time he's going to come with some keys for us to enable our transformation. As you know, Michael is an author, trainer, consultant, and he has a spiritual side to every transformation he talks about. He talks about the whole person as a wholeness, bringing into the organization and then giving his true potential. So guys, keep being in the call. Please hang around and understand what Michael have this time to inspire us. And Michael, over to you. Thank you for joining us, and we are really delighted to have you.
Great, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I was joining you live in person last year, and that was certainly a very enjoyable experience. So I just want to give a bit of context. I was capturing some of Mike Cottmeyer's earlier keynote, and so I'm going to just give some context here. I remember, Mike and I go way back to 10 years ago. We're hanging out at Agile Coach camps. How do we get this Agile stuff working? And what I've realized is there are many different paths. There are many very different paths for bringing Agile to organizations. They're all very beautiful, very different, and are really going after different kinds of outcomes. So what we're sharing with you here is the approach that we found that we've created and really are pioneering as a way to understand, well, if we get to the essence of what Agile and agility is all about, what if we start there? What if we start from that place? So that's really this journey that we're taking with these keys, is to give you a sense of some patterns, not a prescription, not a formula, not step 1, step 2, step 3. Because what we understand that when we're really embracing the essence of Agile, it's about emergence, about letting things unfold and developing people. It's all about people. So when we come back to those roots, it brings us to a different understanding, a different set of keys. And each key will take you through a trap and an opportunity to unlock success, deeper success for organizations. So giving you lenses to understand where to focus, how to understand. All right, so let's just get started. I'm going to share my screen now. Here we go. Application window. All right. So hopefully you can see that. All right, so these are your Agile Transformation Keys. Yeah, so this is really what we're speaking about here, is this deeper way of working that ties in and works with Agile, DevOps, digital, business transformation. We're talking about the real keys that would lead to business agility, adaptable organizations, places where people really like coming to work, which is, of course, the whole spirit and intention for Agile. So our organization is Shift 314. 314, of course, refers to PI. It's really this intention of these universal principles of creating organizational success and evolution in people. And so it's really about, how do we create this shift? How do we create this shift towards high performance through Agile and beyond? So what we understand ultimately that we're doing is that we upgrade the evolutionary capabilities of people and organizations to realize extraordinary. So it's not just about getting a one-time shift in performance. It's not just about installing something. It's about developing a permanent shift in people's ability to evolve itself. Now, through a shift in mindset and practices, we enable new ways of working. So Agile, we can understand, is a new way of working, but it works with essentially enabling all new ways of working. So I'm Michael K Sahota. I'm a certified enterprise coach with the Scrum Alliance. My original background's in artificial intelligence research. How do we build autonomous collections of robots that work together? Then moving on to working as a software developer. And very early on, I got involved with Agile. So I know what it's like to get projects done from the ground up. As a developer, I've tested software. I've been a project manager. I held management roles, director of software development, vice president engineering. So I know both from a delivery role as well as from a management role what it's like to get Agile to work. Or more importantly, what are the challenges? And then I moved into it as a trainer, consultant, coach. And I realized that we needed a fundamental reset on how we approach Agile to create the full benefit. That's why I've been spending the last 10 years really in depth looking at culture and leadership as a way to unlock and understand how to create the success that we hope for. So you may not know this. Sahota is an Indian name. My father grew up in the Punjab part of India. So I'm half Indian. My other half is German. That's why I look like I'm maybe not quite Indian. And right now, I live in Canada, here in Toronto. So that's a bit about my background. So I have a good understanding of Indian culture. I've been there on personal visits, as well as on my personal growth and transformation. So really enjoy India and the culture there. So going on, our organization is really about training and consulting. And these Agile keys are really the most important pieces, or some key essential pieces that are the foundation of our work that we've discovered unlocks success with Agile in organizational systems. All right, so here we go. Let's get started with key number one. So let's just check in with you. Our reasons for Agile are, so go to your phone or tab in your browser, poleb.com/orgs. It's right here at the top of the screen, poleb.com/orgs. So just type in that URL and put in your reason for Agile. Like, why do people want Agile at your organization? All right, just respond to this poll. And once you put your answer, you can look what other answers people have and upload their answers. So just put in your response. Our reasons for Agile are. Why do people want Agile? So much effort, complexity.
Michael, can you repeat the URL again?
Yeah, the URL you should see at the top of your screen, poleb.com/orgs. Maybe someone can put that in the chat for everyone. And we're going to have multiple polls, so it's a good idea to get this working on your end, because it's a way that you can not just learn from me, but learn from everyone else here in this session. All right, poleb.com. So POLLEV.com/ORGS. Can someone put that in the chat for everyone? I can probably type it in too. Hold on. I have to stop sharing if I do that. Can you guys get this? Oh, there you go. Okay, people are starting to get that. So if people want faster delivery to market, what else? Why else do people? Why your organizations want Agile? Why are you here? Like, what is it you hope for in your organizations? To become more competitive because it's trendy, faster cycle time, faster time to market. So if you can just go through and see other people's answers, just upvote to see what is the shared understanding that you as an audience have for why people want Agile. So we're seeing time to market. What else? Better ROI. So agreement with that. Just go through. Again, you vote for as many as that are true for you. Just go through and get a sense of, as a community coming together here, why do our organizations want Agile? What's the shared reason? Like, what is the, like, we're putting a lot of effort and time and energy and money into this. Like, what are we hoping for? So we're seeing a lot of faster time to market, faster cycle time, getting better ROI through that. All right. Right. And now we're starting to get a sense of, well, it's not just about faster, it's also about value delivery, right? And we want to be able to respond to change and survive in this VUCA world, right? All right, great. That's great. Now, what I'd like you to do is stop voting. Just come look at this final list on the screen here. Now, what we've noticed, and this is true for this group, as we've noticed this all around the world, nobody wants Agile. Nobody wants DevOps. Nobody wants digital. Everybody wants what you see here on the screen, which is high performance. Everybody wants high performance. Everybody wants success. Now, if you look at this list, can Agile help support high performance? Of course it can. But what people are getting confused on is that Agile is a means to an end. The end people want is high performance, business success. Agile is simply a means. It's not the goal of what we're doing. But sometimes people get confused and think, well, Agile is the goal. It's all about getting Agile introduced to our organization. If we just introduce Agile, we'll be successful, but it's so much more. So the first key, this is key number one, is that to understand, and when everyone has a shared understanding that Agile is not the goal, you're on your way to success. Because if you're thinking that Agile is the goal and you're heading off in the direction of Agile, everyone's not focused on the organizational goals. So Agile can actually, or introducing Agile, it's not Agile itself, but the way Agile can be introduced can actually cause a lot of damage because Agile is just there as an enabler. So if Agile makes sense, use it. If it doesn't make sense, don't use it. Or learning how to use Agile, since it's an enabler, in a way that supports the organizational goals. So at all times, we'd only want to introduce Agile in ways that are specifically supporting organizational goals, and that everybody agrees that that makes sense. But oftentimes what happens, we have changes that are made where people don't really see how it's connecting up with the organizational goals. Or even worse, there's a mandate to do Agile and a mandate to deliver and get organizational goals done that are in conflict. So that's what we absolutely do not want to do, because it creates a lot of damage. All right, so let's just check in with you. What is the focus of your Agile initiative? Is it more towards Agile is the goal? Or is it more towards Agile as an enabler? Or is it somewhere in the middle? Like, so what level of clarity is there in your organization system right now? So we're seeing a couple of people understanding Agile as an enabler. Now, the way you know Agile as a goal is people have Agile maturity metrics, right? They're measuring how Agile are we, right? As soon as you have Agile maturity metrics or anything like that to measure the level of agility in your the level of Agile introduction, that's kind of clear sort of towards including Agile as part of the goal. So that's kind of how you know where you are. So it's great. So a lot of people are seeing Agile as an enabler. That's wonderful. But again, other people are seeing some sort of next level of awareness. All right, great. Great, thank you. Let's continue. So that's key number one. So as we go through these keys, what we're looking for is like, where are the places where your organization is really doing a good job understanding the key patterns, and where are the places where there's opportunity for growth? All right, wonderful. So the second one is this: replace your rollout plan with an evolution program. So when we say rollout plan, it means, well, we have a very specific series and sets of we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then this comes next. That's what a rollout plan is. And we kind of follow the plan, right? There isn't a lot of intent in the plan for adaptation. Whereas when we're all the way over on the Agile side and we're really living the value of Agile, it's saying, well, look, none of us know we're dealing, what's the right thing? We're dealing with a complex system. We have some good ideas. We might have some sense of, because people have expertise about how to approach this, but this organization is unique. This situation is unique. Let's learn together. Let's run experiments. Let's try things out, and let's discover what's an effective way, not the best way, but what's a good way of how we can evolve our organizational system. That's what really Agile is all about. It's how do we become more adaptable, iterative, incremental, and so on. Whoops. All right, so here's the drawing. So when we have a rollout plan, there's a defined series of steps. We do this, then we do this with teams, and we do this with the organization group, and then we do the aligning, and then we do this restructure, blah, 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 right? So that's a defined plan. An evolution program is emergent. It's like, hey, we're starting here. What should we do? Oh, let's go this way. Okay, great. Now what do we do? Oh, let's go this way. Oh, yeah. Well, what's going on with the organization now? How are people reacting to it? What's happening? What makes sense for our organization based on what the truth of what's happening now? Okay, great. Let's pick our next direction, right? And in an evolution program, we're working towards a star on the horizon. It's not about ever actually getting there, because our goal is high performance. Our goal is business agility. That's not an end point. There's no end to transformation. It's an understanding and moving from this understanding of like it's a fixed destination to it's a journey, right? And if we summarize these two different approaches, with a rollout plan is, well, we go from one place to another place. And there's a direct linear path there, and we're going to follow that path no matter what. The other alternative is to understand it's an evolution program, which is like, we don't know. We're going to explore. It might be this kind of, messy journey at times because we're dealing with a really messy, complex situation. And let's face it, people are messy, right? It's not there's anything wrong with people. It's people are super complex in themselves. And we put all the people together in a complex system. It's really, really complex. It's complexity squared. And it's never about getting to the end point because it's a continuous journey. So when we have that understanding, it becomes a very, very different approach. So we're talking about introducing Agile in an Agile way, right? Rather than a rollout plan, which is more what we can think of as a waterfall way of introduction. So what's going on in your organization? What is the approach in the introduction to Agile? Is it more of a rollout plan, more of a waterfall approach where somebody at the top knows the right answer? Or is it more towards an evolution program where people are co-creating the solution that makes the best sense in their context and running experiments and trying things out and saying, hey, we tried this, it didn't work. Hey, we tried this, it worked. Let's keep this, let's throw that out. Like the way you know you're in an evolution program is you run some experiments and you've decided to hit the eject button on some of those experimental results. That's how you really know you're in an evolution program. Otherwise, you're just pretending you're evolving, right? So it's kind of tricky because we say, oh, we tried this, but what did you really get rid of? When you've tried something you've gotten rid of, that's how you know for sure you're really running experiments and you're really in an evolution program. So great. So we're seeing people all across the board. All right, wonderful. So
Michael, the result is not visible on the screen if you're intended to share the graph.
Oh, it's not visible? I'm seeing it on my screen. So let me just, thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to just check in visual settings here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change my sharing to desktop. And then we'll see if that resolves the problem. I'm going to share my entire screen share. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's try now. Thank you for letting me know that. I think you can see results in your tab. Let me know if you can see it now. It should be coming up. There you go. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, we see it now.
All right, hooray, victory. All right, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so we're inspecting and adapting, right? Experiment to run. Using screen share of Keynote only would work, and it turns out we need to share desktop for you to see it. All right, so we're seeing answers all across the board. Right, so we're understanding like where are the places where we're actually operating and introducing Agile in an Agile way, and where are the places where there's some more evolution, some more change that would be helpful for us. All right, great. So thanks for the people who are responding. I think we have about 20 people out of the audience responding. All right, great. Let's continue. Or some people are reevaluating their answers. Okay, as I say more. All right, let's continue. All right, so number three, don't mandate Agile, but instead iterate where the interest is. Don't mandate Agile. What's that about? I mean, we have this little graphic here, over here, you know, the person at the top pulling people along whether they want to go or not. And unfortunately, and we think about Agile, it's all about the people, right? This is the core values, individuals and interactions over process and tools. And Agile is not here to make anyone's life worse. It's here to make better work environments for people so they can thrive and be productive, right? That's what Agile is really all about. So what happens, unfortunately, is that some organizations are choosing to mandate Agile, to say, hey, we're all going to do Agile. We're going to go through a transformation program. You're all going to get in these new structures, or we're going to reorg things. And people aren't really involved or consulted in what's going on. It's just this top down. It's actually what we call oppression, right? The oppression we're trying to overcome through Agile of these hierarchies where, you know, people at the top are not making decisions that reflect all the wisdom and intelligence at the bottom. That's what Agile is really about. And so when there's mandating Agile, it's trying to do something good, but it's doing it in such a destructive way that it wipes out a lot of the good. Like if we really live in the Agile mindset, it's about iterating where the interest is. Well, what does that mean? It means like if you've got 7 teams, you can look at them like, who are the people who are interested, right? If you have one team that's interested, great, start with that one team. Help them be successful. Then the other teams will go, oh, wow, these guys are being successful and they're having fun. Can you help us? And so we can wait for what's called a pull so that we help people who want to be helped, right? So when we start focusing on creating and building a fire of success where there's interest, what it does, that sparks excitement, it sparks interest, and it sparks a real desire and a passion, which is what we need for high performance. Mandating structural change is old school. It's not an evolved strategy. It's not even Agile, because that's not about what will actually create passion and fire in people's belly, which is what Agile is about. We're trying to get people excited about coming to work. People get excited about learning and growing, to doing the best they can, to show up at their best and create the best outcomes for the organization. And I know this is completely opposite to what the industry is doing. I understand that. What we're giving you is to tell you what the truth, the essence of Agile is really all about, where the performance actually comes from. Now, the model to understand this, and this is what we see here that essentially Agile is trying to overcome, is industrial management principles, right? Where the manager has a brain and the workers have no brains, right? The managers are creating processes and procedures, defining standards of work, measuring quantity through reports, telling people what to do through plans, directing, organizing. And often what happens is we just do the same thing all over again, but in the guise of Agile. where the top level goals are cascaded down and teams have to figure out how to do things. And we haven't really moved away to unlock the workers, which is where the success of Agile comes from, is when we unlock the people down here. That's what it's all about. When people have passion, when people have fire in their bellies, they have desire, that's where the high performance comes from. Not from a structure, not from setting up a bunch of teams, not from having a shared coordinated strategy and structure. Of course, we may do those things if they fit for us, but that's not what it's about. It's about the people. So let's just check in with you. What's happening in your organization? Is Agile optional? Like, when people say, hey, we don't want to do Agile right now, we're just going to do things our way. That's how you know it's optional, right? If people can just do it, iterate with the interest, it means that only people who want to pick up Agile, who see the value in it for them in their context, actually use it. So what's going on in your organizational system? So mostly we're seeing answers about Agile being mandated. That's normal. If you're in that group, that's okay. That's kind of the Agile business as usual. And it's great. We're seeing some people where there's a focus towards iterating where the interest is. It's wonderful to see some kind of more evolved things out there. And again, this is all a journey. We're sharing this wisdom and intelligence that we've learned over our essentially 2 decades of working with Agile, right? So they're kind of counterintuitive, and they kind of go against what sometimes people are saying, but this is what will actually unlock the people. Right? That's why we feel so passionately about these keys, because it's really the essence. Otherwise, you do all this work and you do all these transformation programs, and then you go, oh, well, we're not getting the results we hoped for. People are still not excited and inspired. We haven't truly solved the employee engagement challenge. All right. So the next key, again, totally probably maybe the opposite of what you've experienced, is to avoid big organizational transformations and instead improve the daily work. So what does it mean avoid? But don't we need to transform? What if we want to transform our organization? How do we make such a shift? Well, I'll tell you, and this goes back to just when I was working with Scrum, but it applies to a transformation program. When you go for radical change, that's what Scrum is, or usually transformation programs are radical change. It's all about abandoning where you're now, saying, hey, everyone, what we're doing now sucks. And that doesn't motivate people. It actually makes them kind of discouraged. And says, hey, we're going to go through a big change because we all suck. We're going to make a big change and go to this wonderful utopia, right? And people get there and they discover they've gone through all this turbulence and change and turmoil, and it's not actually utopia. And the key problems haven't actually been solved. And we're hoping that we'll be stable and can just improve from this huge shift that makes everything better. But that's not usually what happens. What usually happens, you probably experience is it's unstable, or the promise isn't fully realized. You call it fragile. That's kind of a joke, fragile. Scrum butt, right? That's mostly what happens in transformation programs. There's a huge promise, but then things fall short. The alternative to this is incremental change, or sometimes advocated by the Kanban or lean approach. It's really simple. It's not complex. It's really simple. It's start where you are now and then evolve from that place. Just make small changes. Baby step your way to success, right? Now, in Agile, there's this saying from extreme programming, do the simplest thing that can possibly work, right? Lean says the same thing. You only use incremental change. Don't spend money. Just see, when using the intelligence people, how much effective change you can do on your own, and then introduce resources, money, training, and things like that to keep on elevating, right? But do what you can with what you have. This is kind of this post-World War II concept that Lean came out of, right? So do what you can with what you have. And, the thing is, sometimes you'll need to make big changes, but only after you've exhausted all possible other options, right? So that's the key secret, is you focus on these incremental changes. And once you've done all the incremental changes and you say, and everyone agrees that you need a big change that everyone agrees to, then make a big change. But what's happening with these big transformation programs is there's no test. There's no survey sent to people. Hey guys, we think we should do this big transformation to SAFe or Scrum at Scale or blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think? And we're only going to go ahead if we have an 80 or 90% approval rating. No organizations do that, right? Because there's this mandating going on. These transformations and the mandating are going hand in hand, right? If everyone actually thought that going to SAFe or going to Scrum at Scale was a great idea, and people voted for it and approved it, then that would make sense, right? But people only can get that kind of understanding after they've already improved daily work, after they've already tried making the changes, and they realize, oh my gosh, there's no other option than doing some sort of restructure in our group, or moving towards a lean value stream, or moving towards product teams, right? Once people realize on their own that they can't improve the challenge without making that bigger change, that's when a bigger change is appropriate. So bigger change might be appropriate, but it's the last thing you want to do because it's so expensive and disruptive, and you only want to do it if everyone is on board. All right, so let's just check in with where you are. This poll. All right, so what is the size of change? Like where are people focused in your organizational? Okay, it says activity could not be found. That's strange. I'm just going to keep going here. All right, so let's go on to the next one. All right, not just doing Agile, but including the Agile mindset. Not just doing Agile, but including the Agile mindset, right? So it's about moving from just talking about doing Agile and the practices to what is the essence of Agile, the shift in thinking and shift in behaviors, shift in worldview. So we can understand it this way, is that Agile has Agile practices and doing Agile, kind of the mechanical part. And there's also the Agile mindset, or being Agile, right? The concept here came from Bob Hartman, really, really amazing concept. And when we look at the core, we'll just ask you, is the focus really on, that's interesting. I'm not sure if that's what I wanted. Hold on. It says, yeah, is the focus really on doing or being? Like, are people focused on the practices, the mechanics? Are they focused on the being, the essence of Agile, the mindset, the people, the shift towards adaptation, shift towards experimentation? What's going on in your organizational system? Right? So the key here is not to get caught up in the doing, but to understand it's really the being, that we need both the doing and the being to create the success that we hope for. All right, so we see lots of people here already focused on the Agile mindset. That's great. Some people at various different levels, some people more focused on doing Agile. So again, it's just an invitation to understand what's important for you to focus on in your environment, right? And essentially, doing Agile and being Agile, we can think about doing Agile as giving us 20% benefit, whereas being Agile, our mindset, this is how we get to real engagement, delighted customers, people who really love coming to work, right? So most of the benefit actually comes from the mindset and culture. That's why it's so important. And oftentimes, this is not as natural for us. But let's just collectively build a sense of what one word describes our behavior when we're being Agile. So if you think about somebody who's being Agile, living the mindset, what word would describe their behavior? So just type in all the words that come to you. It could be something that's your own or something you also see on the team. So adaptive, if that's true for you, you can type that into change-minded, open. What else? What word would describe our behavior when we're being Agile? What kind of traits are we looking for in people? Transparent, passion, learning, flexible, responsive, open, creative, coordination, passion, motivated, mindset. Yeah, so this is what we're looking for. So this is the test, is like, where throughout our day are we having a flexible and adaptive mindset, right? That's really the thing. Where are we learning every day? Where are we saying no to learning? Where are we saying yes to learning? So this is really, and maybe we'll just ask people to stop voting here. Let's all look at the output together that we've co-created. What we're looking at is, what is the essence of the Agile mindset? What is it really about? So this right here on the screen is the whole game of Agile. Forget about the practices, forget about Scrum, forget about transformation programs. It's about the people. When you have people showing up every day saying, how can I learn? How can I be more adaptable? How can I be more flexible? How can I change faster? Not change outside faster, change myself faster. How can I grow at a faster rate so I am more adaptable? When we all are more adaptable as people, we'll create a more adaptable organization. Using Agile, using Lean, using all sorts of different practices and tools and technology where they fit our organizational purpose. That's what true agility is. This is why we say a new way of being enables a new way of working. Without that agile way of being, that agile mindset, we can't enable all these new ways of working. That's why shifting mindset is key. So the secret to how to get there is we don't want to start with teams. We want to start with managers. All too often, the focus on Agile is teams. Dude, I'm sick of hearing about teams. Of course, teams are important. They're beautiful constructs. We want to make sure they're working well. But to create a successful evolution program within our organizational system, we need the people who have the power, who are making the decisions, who are setting up the environment. And they need to understand this Agile mindset. When they understand the Agile mindset, when they live the Agile mindset, they can help all the workers, all the teams live it themselves. But there's no possible way to get there without the leaders going first. And it's not about them learning Scrum. It's not about learning backlog. It's about learning how they show up as a different person, how they're focused on their learning, their growth, on their adaptability. All the words we had in that last slide. And we see that what happens at the bottom of organization is a fractal of what happens higher up, right? So at the bottom, we want agility. We need agility in the Agile mindset at the top. There's no other way. So starting with teams doesn't make any sense at all. So essentially, we can understand, I'll just go through this briefly, that organizational evolution is a result of personal evolution. So if we want to go from one way of being as an organization to a different way of being, all the people have to grow. All the people have to have this Agile mindset to be adaptable, to learn, to grow, to evolve. And the biggest trap we see is to start with teams at the bottom. And what happens, and you've seen this probably, is there are little pockets of the mindset, but nothing really changes. The whole operating characteristics of the organization doesn't really change that much. Things are still pretty much the same. We're just wearing new clothes and having new labels for things. So the advice we have here is to start at the top. When we start with the top leadership, and they truly shift to an Agile mindset, this is the only possible way we can get to an organization that functions with business agility, that is truly adaptable. To be adaptable as an organization, we need people who are adaptable at all levels. So it starts with leadership at any level. So if you think, oh, wait a second, my leaders need to change. Well, no, they don't, because everything we're saying here applies at your level, with your team, with your department, with your group. When you, in your little bubble, your part of the organization, make this kind of shift in mindset, it'll impact all the people below you. So even if you're a Scrum Master or coach, the way you show up matters because you're modeling the future of the organization. So it's not about waiting for anyone else to change. Everyone here can influence change starting now, today. You can be more agile in your organization today by changing how you show up. It's possible. And we together can make a change in the world, starting with ourselves. So the challenge we're overcoming is that I'll just read the quote. Research shows that while organizations expect new leadership capabilities, they're still largely promoting traditional mindsets. So we're really stuck because people are getting standard leadership training that doesn't give them the Agile mindset, doesn't give them the shift and the new practice that they need to show up to create and support an Agile environment. So this is the gap we see, is that right now as an industry, we do a great job with teams, we train them, we give them coaching and support that's totally appropriate for them. Solve problem. What about leadership? Our view is that they're getting left behind as an industry. I know we know in our work, actually the entire focus of our work is looking after leadership to make sure they have the practices and mindset to support all these teams being successful and so on, support all these changes. And what this really takes is mindset training and coaching, not just training. We have trained over 2,000 leaders worldwide with this certified Agile leadership, with our approach to that. But it's really about supporting them afterwards, after they come out of a training, to understand how they should show up, to give them on-the-job support, to give them and integrate into the work environment they are these new ways of being, right? And that's really what we see is the current gap, right? And that's really the focus and what we hope to aspire here. The last key I'm going to share with you is moving beyond the tactics and strategy to the culture and people, right? So here we see this poor guy culture is deficient, it's pulling them off the dock. Whereas, when we're smart, we stand on the dock and we invite culture and we work with culture to sustain what's happening. When we say, well, culture, what do we mean? Well, high performance culture is really all about leaders at all levels. That's what high performance is, engaged, passionate people. So we have leaders at all levels, right? So that sits on engaged people. Well, we only get engaged people if you have a supportive environment for those people. And that only happens when there's an evolved organizational mindset, right? It means a deep desire to create change in a very different way of functioning. So without this shift in mindset, we're not going to have the actual foundation, right? Without this agile mindset, there's no way we can create an environment that's fully going to support people to fully let them be engaged, to get leaders at all levels, which is where the high performance comes from. That's why we say the culture is the foundation. So everybody wants number one. They want the performance, right? They want the results. But wait, okay, well, that sits on the tactics. And the tactics sit on the strategy, and the strategy sits on the culture. It's all about the people. So it's essential to create the success we hope for through Agile, which is often broken down to a discussion of tactics and strategy, to focus back where it matters, back on the people. So where's the focus of your Agile initiative? Tactics and strategy, bias towards tactics and strategy, balanced. So we're seeing kind of maybe most people are more balanced. All right. Great. So we'll just go on here. All right, great. So we're seeing answers all across the board, some various different levels. All right. Let me see this last poll. What keys are most important to you? So just think through these. Is the key about Agile being an enabler, not the objective? Is it about having an evolution program instead of rollout? Is it about iterating where the interest is instead of mandating? Is it about improving the daily work instead of having a big transformation program? Is it about including the Agile mindset instead of focusing on the practices and the doing? Or is it about starting with managers so that they can create a healthy environment? Or is it about and overcoming this bias towards teams? Or is it about the culture and the people? What keys do you see as most important for unlocking your success? Great, thank you. So what we're seeing here, the top ones are really about focusing on the culture and the people, and that Agile is an enabler. All right, great, thank you. So this is the final slide here. So you can actually get a free download of all these Agile keys. We actually have written a white paper just for you. So that way you don't have to tell people that they're wrong. You say, hey, look, I saw this interesting idea. Here's this white paper. Do you want to look at this and discuss this? Right? So that's what we created the keys for. So you have the free download at shift314.com. There's no registration required, and you can just simply download that. We hope you do that. If you want to go deeper on this information, it's all there to support you, and feel free to share that with anyone you want to create interesting discussions about creating a healthier Agile transformation in your environment. All right, so that's the end. Thank you so much. And what I'm going to ask now is we'll just flip over to Q&A.
Michael, do you have access to the questions?
It'd be better if you read them, because I can probably click on
okay.
the phone. Yeah, I can read the questions here. So number one, if Agile maturity measure is leaning towards Agile as a goal, how else can we measure Agile maturity in an organization? So I would say Agile maturity is irrelevant. What's relevant is how are you progressing towards business goals? As soon as you start trying to measure Agile maturity, you're saying Agile is the most important thing, right? Instead of saying the most important thing is our organizational goals, how we're learning, how we're growing, how we're evolving together. So that's why I'm saying it's really, and I understand that's contrary. Okay, I lost the chat questions. I think there it is. Sorry, no, I got it back. Okay. So the second question is, I think for key number 2, evolution plan, the challenge comes from leaders who want a definitive plan, cost and commitment to achieving the goal. Yeah, so that's a great point, right? So when leaders have a mindset that, here it's fine to have a defined cost, but that's what Agile tells you. It says, let's have a defined budget, a defined cost, and then we'll see how far we progress towards the goal with that thing. And it's an emergent outcome. What would leaders want is the opposite of Agile. They say, I want to define scope and to define cost, which is actually contrary to Agile itself. So it doesn't even make any sense. So that's why we're saying without a shift in mindset, we're going to fall back into approaches that don't make it, that don't make success. Yeah, and I guess the other thing is the industry, that a lot of people making money off of scaling. They'll say, hey, we can give you this benefit, and here's how it works, and here's the exact step-by-step plan, and we've got your back. And people who are at a lower level of understanding don't have the Agile mindset go, oh, that's great, thank you, that's amazing, right? But this is why we're saying if without the leaders shifting their mindset, without them actually coming on the journey, we can never get an Agile organization. That's why we say that's the starting place, not the ending place. There's a question here about key number 3. What is the guidance if teams, individuals prefer status quo that does not align to organizational goals, i.e. being able to respond to change? So here's the guidance. It's really simple. Start with the people who want to make change and help them be incredibly successful. Most other people will get jealous and want it too. Right? So 90% of the people can be covered in your organization. There might be like this tail 10%, but again, some of those may come on board. Once you create a healthier environment, once you start taking away the things that are demotivating them, they might come on board. That's what we found with our work with clients, right? And the other thing is a lot of people are disengaged because they're being mandated to make change. They're getting killed with agile maturity metrics. They're being asked to do things that don't help serve the customer and serve the purpose of the organization. So a lot of this is about fixing the environment so that it's healthier for people, right? And really it's all about getting people from theory X to theory Y so they're motivated, engaged, and so on, right? And we want to really care about people and help them on the journey first and give them many chances to succeed. And if that still doesn't work, then look about what do we do. But a lot of the resistance, we're actually creating that. And there's a whole other discussion and teaching around how that's created and so on. All right, the next question here is, what is your recommendation on opting for Agile for projects and programs? Is it advisable to decide for a delivery model before the start of a project, or can also offer Agile in the middle? Yeah, thank you, Mohammed, for that question. So my advice is listen to the people, right? If people have no familiarity at all with Agile, Waterfall might be a better option for them. If they're curious and interested in running an experiment with Agile, then woohoo, run an experiment with Agile and see how it works and fits their environment, right? So there's no right, there's no wrong, right? Now, if I was the project manager, I'd be like, and I was dealing with the Waterfall team, I'd invite them. I'd say, hey, look, guys, can we talk about this to see if this might help us be more successful? We all are here to make this project successful. What's going to give us the best chance? Is it using the Waterfall we've been using, or is it running with an experiment which might be scary with this Agile stuff and trying it out, right? Right? And as long as, again, this comes back to the culture. If you're in a culture where that team is given the space, the support, the freedom to run experiments, to learn and grow, then they're much more likely to take that chance, right? If it feels safe for them. If it's feeling scary and unsafe, they're not going to take it. They're going to, even if they know they're going to fail with Waterfall, they'll take it because they can't be blamed because they're just doing what they were told to do, right? So great question. All right. I'll go, actually, there's another question. I'll go to this next one. How Agile team will improve their Agile mindset over iteration after iteration? Yeah, so that's what retrospectives are for, right? Retrospectives are for saying, what can we learn about how we can function better? How can we change the process? How can we work better as a team? And where are we showing up as an individual through a lack of collaboration or otherwise is getting in the way of creating the results we hope for? Can we get the slides? We have a lot of slides shared on our website. You're welcome to go access those. There's a lot of information content there. We're not intending to share these specific slides. What are the 3 key takeaways for improving from doing Agile to building an Agile mindset? Doing Agile. So Agile mindset. Agile mindset, it's actually, I'll go back to the previous question. What I will share, I'll do this to social media, is the words you guys created for what is the Agile mindset. I'll share that so you have all that. That's probably the most important thing to focus on. If you have that up and everyone on the team focuses on how to be more adaptable, more flexible, more learning-oriented, that's the secret to the Agile mindset right there. So I'll make sure I share that through social media. Yeah, the 3-1, there's a question here. Oh, wait, there's a lot of questions here. Oh, the whole thing moved. Where are we? Okay, sorry, I got lost here. Okay, here we go. Is DSM at the leadership level Is DSM at the leadership level is disguised being agile? Yeah, so any process, any structure is not about being agile. Being agile is about people changing their behaviors. So the real test you want to have for anything like that is there a focus around shifting behavior changes, shifting worldviews of what's good, shifting beliefs, shifting identity of how we see ourselves? That's how you know that there's a shift towards being. So our understanding is like some of the technology that we use is very unique in the world because it's actually integrating practices actually from India itself, Eastern wisdom and intelligence into business practices, right? And where our findings, that's the fastest, most rapid way to help leaders get a shift in mindset. Okay. With the current, oops, this thing keeps on jumping, sorry. With the current remote working due to corona pandemic and no face-to-face interaction and collaboration, any key on being or remaining agile? Yeah, so actually, I think the coronavirus actually gives a great opportunity for us to really connect as human beings, to just be really honest and turn the camera on and share with our environments. Yeah, this is where I live. This is my family. This is my pet, and these are my kids, and you know, and this is my neighborhood, and connect at a human level. And we do that. That's going to help create a safer environment. That is really what Agile, part of what Agile is all about, right? So this whole being face to face, it is helpful for being productive in meetings, but we don't need to do that. What really is essential is that we're passionate and caring. Linux was built by a team of people all over the world. It's one of the most successful operating systems ever. They never had face-to-face meetings, but they had passion. What Corona is doing is showing, well, where are the environments where we have passion and where are the environments where we don't have passion? It's not about face-to-face. It's about a passion, a desire, because I've worked with people all over the world for over a decade, other Agile coaches, other thought leaders, because they're in different places. So I've just gotten really good at distributed. When we want to do that and be successful, there's no obstacle anymore. We might need some help with technology, but there really is no obstacle anymore. There's a question here about what is 314. So 314 is, everyone's heard of pi, 3.141519, etc. It's the universal principle for mathematics. What we're sharing here is the universal principles for people dynamics and organizational dynamics. I'm working on the new book. It's extraordinary. It's still in progress. Probably won't be out till next year. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but it really is an extraordinary perception into the truth of what's going wrong in organizations and really what does a shift in mindset and consciousness look like across many dimensions of an organizational system and people. So I'm starting to share that when it's available, but that's really the core of 314. We're really teaching timeless principles. That's why I say it ties back into Eastern wisdom and a lot of wisdom that's in India itself. So what KPIs from Agile maturity, what KPIs from Agile maturity contribute to business maturity? Yes, I'm saying this is a great question actually, because it's saying, well, let's drop Agile maturity, talk about business maturity, business agility. What are we doing? So we actually have a survey coming out very soon on comparative agility, which is talking about that, which is talking about what does our organizational performance look like, and looking at 5 different dimensions from employees to results to learning and growth and organizational governance to give you measures of adaptability. So that's what I'd say is the healthy version when we look at organizational functioning, not about level of uptake of Agile practices, like do we have Scrum Masters in all teams? I'm like, well, what? Like, it's not about that. It's about, do we have people with the right mindset? Do we have people with passion? That's what's going to create business success. Suggestions, please, to change business mindset from projects to products. All right, thank you for that question, Rohan. So really what that's coming to is about shifting. So why on earth, if you have a group of intelligent people that are currently working in a project focus, why on earth would they switch to a product one, right? Which we know is generally more adaptable, more powerful, more capable, right? So unless they've learned and experienced and gone through training and had discussions about, well, what are the pros and cons for each approach? What would it take to transition from one to another? How would they do that in an effective way? What's the right timing? Is it some groups first? Is there a pilot first? Unless people are involved and engaged and understand the value of it and feel some sense of excitement around that, that's really what we're doing is we're trying to create, and this is what's going to take to create success is when you have everyone together and energized towards something, then you can make that movement. Now, probably of that specific change, the biggest challenge, yeah, okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, so probably the biggest shift there is that when you have people who are in title of project managers and they think in the new product world they have no new role, or even managers thinking they have no new role once we have self-organizing teams and things like that, it creates a lot of fear. Their psychological safety is taken away because they say, well, what will become of me? Will I have a job? Will I be able to contribute? And it's a real problem. That's why we don't want to make these changes. We want to help give people the skills they need to do to function in the new world. And then when they feel comfortable with that, we can start transitioning to the new world. Throwing people in the deep end. I've done this. I've tried to mitigate the damage of this in various different times. Sometimes it'll be the right, if you have enough people who are ready to go, some people will go in the deep end and it'll be sink or swim. But if you have the majority of people feeling comfortable, this is a good decision for us. For me personally, this is a good decision for our organization. It's going to make my life better. It's going to make a better outcome for our organization. It's going to help us serve our customers. Then that is a very, very beautiful decision. But just installing a product system on people where they don't really understand it, they don't agree with it, they don't know if they'll be able to adapt to the changes, that's not safe. It's going to harm performance. Because Agile is about people. We want to take care of people so they be successful. Forcing them and mandating a change is not something everyone do. We want to do that with people, where people are collectively saying, yeah, this will serve us. This will serve our purpose. There's another question here. Even though Agile, teams go through traditional performance management, how can this be bridged to shift the focus to agility? So as we know, traditional performance management is often very oppressive, very destructive. The research shows that it really impacts people's psychological safety. The healthy way in a healthy environment, whether it's Agile and not, it's nothing to do with Agile, is that people on a regular basis, daily, weekly, monthly, get feedback on how they're performing. So at the end of it, but if you're in an environment like that, you can have the team co-create together, not have the manager, but the team co-create, would this person get scored, right? And have real honest discussions about how are different people on the team performing and what do they need to do to improve that performance. But everyone would want to know that well before the performance review. So, and this is really the secret that we want here, is that how do you have everyone get an A? How do you help everyone be extremely successful? You don't do that at the performance review. You do that a year before to say, hey, how do we make sure everyone gets the highest grade possible in the performance review? I need to work on this. Okay, great, I'm going to work on this. And so there's no surprises. It's all just very natural, all transparent, no mystery, right? That's how to do it in a healthy, humane way. But this is how we're saying there's nothing wrong with the performance review structure. It's about the consciousness and the mindset from which we use it. There's nothing wrong with going from a project model to a product model. It's about the mindset and the consciousness from which we approach that change. Do you approach it with a bulldozer, or do we approach it in an emergent approach, valuing people? It's not about the technology. The technology that people are describing with Agile is fantastic. It's about how we use it. That's why this is an inner shift. Without the inner shift, nothing's going to change other than on the surface. All right. Sorry, guys, I get really, really passionate about this. All right, so we'll conclude with one more session. Let me just pick from here. Yeah, I'll just share this one last one. Are non-IT organizations using Agile? Any insights? So I think if we come back to the core of what we're sharing here, really the invitation is stop thinking about Agile. Start thinking about business success, organizational success, people success, and then look how Agile can support this. And what we find here is lots of organizations can find value for Agile. Agile has been used in schools, et cetera, et cetera. But the key shift here is that people understand that Agile is a means to an end. So let's conclude with that. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure joining all of you. Thank you to the organizers for bringing us here. I can't hear anything.
I think you are in mute. Looks like.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything. Anyone was saying something. Repeat? Sorry, was there a question? I didn't hear anything.
I guess maybe not
Okay.
audible. Like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, thanks, Michael. It was really nice talk. I feel like you are able to see the questions and how the people are reacting also, right? Last time also your talk was quite wonderful and well received by the audience. And thanks for joining once again with us, right? And this time it was completely virtual, so we are not able to get you here face to face. But of course, I guess people have equally valued your talk and all the things, right? So thanks a lot for your presence and enlightening all of us with your views. Yeah, thank you. Guys, and with this, we are going to come to an end of this 3 days of Technical Agility Conference. I believe that all of you have really enjoyed this, and the whole 3 days you were able to get lots of new things where you have to go back, learn that, get into deep dive, because here you can get lots of things which you have to go back and get into a depth to get into understand that and start practicing those, trying something, experimenting, continuously improving on that areas wherever you are working on. So hope you have enjoyed all the sessions here. And I really like to thank all the keynote speakers, all the speakers who has actually come here and actually presented with, along with you with all the things. And I also would like to thank all the volunteers group, core team members, and all the supporters like Agile Transformation Minds group, DevOps Institute, Agile Bangalore, and so on. So I hope we will keep getting your support in the same way in future also. And with that, yes, of course, I would like to close this Technical Agility Conference. And thanks, Michael, once again for your time and being here. And guys, feel free to send your feedback. Maybe you can mail also, you can text also, and here wherever you are getting that poll and other things, you can use that as well. And yes, of course, in this period of time, stay safe. And yeah, of course, we'll meet again next year, TAC 2021. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully in person. All right.
Yeah,
thank you.
Sure. Okay, bye.